Okay, hi, we are going live.
And the person from our college, like he's in taking a course like
Everyone. A very warm good morning. I'm Shubhangi, an electrical engineering sophomore, and I welcome you all to Think Talk, an event in which professionals provide us insights about their lives organized under Technex'. You ask any programmer about their go to website to hone their programming skills, and the platform that will top their list is Geeks4Geeks, a platform that not only provides articles curated by experts, but also an arena to practice and sharpen one's axe. Geeks4Geeks is a boon for people at every stage of their programming career. We are extremely grateful to have with us Mr. Sandeep Jain, the man behind Geeks4Geeks. Mr. Jain graduated from IIT Roorkee and went on to work as a software developer for DShaw and Company and as an assistant professor at GIIT Noida. He established Geeks4Geeks while working at DShaw and subsequently quit his job to devote his full attention to it. His passion for teaching, as well as his struggles with placements in college when there was no guidance for the recruiting process, motivated him to create such a platform. We welcome you, sir, and look forward to an insightful talk. And to the audience, all your queries would be addressed towards the end, so you can put your queries in the chat box. And with this, over to you, sir.
Hi, good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank all the organizers here for organizing such a great event. And I really feel honored to be talking at IIT BHU. I have talked once, it was an offline meet with the students there. Feels great to talk again. So in this talk, I'll mainly be talking about two things. One is my entrepreneurship journey, like what all I learned and how Geeks4Geeks was built. The second thing that I'll be talking about is coding. Coding is something which is very, very close to my heart. So just wanted to understand the audience here. We have engineering first year, second year students. We
Yes,
have
sir.
first year, second year engineering students, or like what kind of students we have here?
We have students from all across the years. So,
All right, and these are IIT BHU students, or
outside students as well must be viewing it from the
all
live
right.
stream.
All right. So, guys, I'll begin with my journey. I started my schooling from my hometown, which is Firozabad, which is like 40 kilometers away from Agra, and did my schooling from a government school, which was a municipal school from UP board. And you can imagine the kind of teaching that happens here and the kind of teachers I faced there. And then, like every other student, I went for IIT preparation. Since everybody was going for IIT preparation, I did not know like how IITs look like. I went for it and prepared for IIT for 2 years. And after 2 years of preparation, I ended up in a tier three engineering college. And when I went to this engineering college, there was no placement, and we did not even know how to apply off campus. So after the BTech, after doing my graduation, I did not have any job. I tried multiple places offline and could not even get a job offline. So I did MTech from IIT Roorkee, and after IIT Roorkee, I was the same person who was not getting even 5,000 rupees month job. I could get multiple offers. I was placed in DShaw and Company on campus, and I worked with DShaw and Company for 2.5 years. And while I was going through this journey, I kind of felt like I can be a very, very good teacher. I used to teach school students, my juniors. Then I used to teach BTech juniors. And I always enjoy teaching. And, this somewhere I have seen a very bad quality of teaching, whether it was school or the tier three engineering college. So really felt the need of this as well. So I always wanted to become teacher. In fact, when I was in IIT Roorkee, I always used to ask the students कि यार कोई ऐसी कंपनी आती है, कोई ऐसा कॉलेज आता है कि कैंपस में जो इन सॉफ्टवेयर कंपनीज के इक्वलेंट पैकेज देता है. So, but salary is something which matters a lot. In engineering college, we all talk about कि कितने का पैकेज लगा किसका. So I went for this D-Show job, worked there for 2.5 years. And while working with DShaw, I started this blog. And at that time, during that time, I did BTech in 2004, then MTech in 2007. From 2004 to 5, I was teaching in engineering college. And during the time there were not many popular blogs and all. So I started with Blogspot. Blogspot was very popular at that time, and started writing articles about engineering preparation. And why did I choose something like engineering preparation article? I saw a big gap. Whether it was a tier 3 engineering college or it was IIT, students did not know like what is expected from the companies. Most of the time, in fact, when I talk about my BTech journey, I spent most of the time just to make sure that I qualify the academics, right? Because there was so much academic pressure. And also at the same time, Geeks is mostly about engineers. Why I built something for engineers? Because when I was in this engineering college, this BTech, I saw the kind of life we had. We had two sessional exams, which were organized by the engineering college faculty. Then we had end term exams. Then we had projects. In the projects, we were expected to do something new, something exceptional. And then we had to crack the placements also after 4 years. So I kind of felt कि engineering के students से बहुत बहुत ज़्यादा pressure होता है. And these days we have Geeks for Geeks and many other platforms as well. We have many YouTube channels which can guide you. During that time, there was nothing like this. So it was a lot of pressure on me. I particularly felt a lot of pressure. Even in IIT Roorkee, when I went to IIT Roorkee, I kind of felt कि companies तो बहुत सारे आते हैं, but students don't know what kind of interview questions they are going to ask, how many rounds they are going to have. So I remember my DE placement. When DE was coming next day, I called up my friends in other IITs. कि DE जब तुम्हारे यहाँ आई थी, तो what kind of questions they asked, how many rounds of interviews they had, and this is how I went for interview. Just 1 day preparation. So and you know, academic is totally different. If you see engineering academic, especially during our time, we were taught a lot of subjects. We were taught even chemistry and electrical engineering. We were taught a lot of unnecessary subjects. So to fulfill this gap between academic and what is expected from the industry, I thought there is a very high need of something like Geeks for Geeks. So I started Geeks for Geeks as a part-time activity, and without any marketing, without any promotion, this portal suddenly started getting a lot of traffic. There was a lot of traffic on Geeks for Geeks from the moment I started writing articles. So since the traffic suddenly started coming, it kind of motivated me to write more and more. So I started writing, adding more and more content to the blog. And this was all weekend activity for 2.5 years with the D job. And since the traffic was growing, I kind of felt that I should be giving it more time. And to tell you guys more details, it was not making any money. For those 2.5 years, I did not earn even a single penny. And in fact, I was paying for the server hosting charges. And after leaving the DHO job, after doing this for 2.5 years, I decided that I should be giving more time to this. So I decided to leave the DHO job and decided to join art engineering college, an engineering college where I could, follow my passion of teaching and give more time to Geeks for Geeks. So this was the toughest decision that I took in my life. There was a lot of opposition from the family. जब D shop में मैंने resign किया, I did not tell many people कि I have resigned. And after I resigned, and then I told people, many of them like, ये क्या कर दिया तूने? How come you have resigned from such a high-paying job? Many people felt like I was fired from this company, and मेरे पेरेंट्स ने सबसे पहले जो क्वेश्चन पूछा वो पूछा कि यार तुम्हें उतनी सैलरी मिल जाएगी जो तुम टीचिंग की जॉब में जा रहे हो. I simply lied to them कि I'll be getting the same salary, don't worry, after tax deductions. It's just वो MNCs में थोड़ा टैक्स ज्यादा करके दिखा देते हैं सैलरी, TCTC ज्यादा दिखा देते हैं. So this is how I started my journey of teaching. I taught in an engineering college for 5.5 years. There was no plan to become an entrepreneur. Just wanted to be a teacher. Just wanted to follow the Geeks for Geeks article writing. But what happens in those 5.5 years, since there was nothing like Geeks for Geeks and engineering students needed something like this, the traffic started growing. And while I was teaching, I could get more time. The teaching job was 9 to 5, and I could write more articles, review more articles after 5 o'clock. And I was teaching the same subjects. I was teaching algorithm, data structures, C++, and Java. So with this thing, I could contribute a lot more, and humanity works in great ways. There were really many great people, many people who felt like I am being helped from this blog, and this guy is just doing without any money. So many students, they started writing their interview experiences, and there were many great people like Ashish Barnwal, Venki. These guys just started sending me top quality content, and we were not paying anything to them. There was no certificate. They just started sending emails. You can publish this also on Geek Stories. This is the code. This is the content. And I used to review all of these emails that I was getting, and I used to, after review, publish this all this content. So with 5.5 years, what happened? The traffic started growing and growing. And for a long, long time, I mean, 2.5 years of teaching job, and then probably 2 and 3 years of my 2.5 years of teacher job, and 2 or 3 years of my teaching job, I was not making any money. So after that much time, I decided to put ads on this blog, and that is also very interesting story. One day my wife told me, you have spent so many years on this thing, right? You work day and night. We don't make any money out of it. So do you have any plans to make money? So that is when I decided here, let's make some money out of it. And we decided to put ad on this. And when we put ad on Geek Stories, the traffic was so huge that suddenly started making good money within a very short span of time. So the money, the revenue started growing, the traffic started growing, and with this 5.5 years, I started getting many thank you emails. There was a moment when I got an email from somebody in the Facebook headquarters. This guy simply said, "I got this job just because of your blog." And there were many other incidents like this. And what I was doing, I was just a teacher in an engineering college and making some money from this ad, right? AdSense. And one day I was invited in engineering college, and I went there, and every student in that private engineering college, they all knew about these stories, which was very, very surprising for me because this was just a part-time activity. I was just doing it part-time, and which kind of motivated me that I should not be continuing this teaching job anymore. I should be doing these stories full-time because it has become really big. And with the teaching job, you do many other things. You check answer sheets. You sometimes debar students also because of their attendance. You make their attendance entries. So I decided to leave the teaching job also and decided to do GeeksforGeeks full time. And when you start your entrepreneurship journey, sometimes you have a mentor, sometimes you have done a business before, or you get investment. Nothing was true in my case. I did not have any investment. I did not have any mentor, or nobody in my family had done business. So it was very difficult journey for me initially, made many mistakes, and would like to share the mistakes that I made so that the aspiring entrepreneurs here, they don't repeat those mistakes. So the first mistake that I made when I started GeeksforGeeks was I started all the techies. I was myself a geek, not a very social person, and I hired all the best coders because I was a teacher. So I kind of hired the top three coders from my among my students, and they did great job. But when you are running a company, you got to have non-tech people. You got to have a marketing team, an HR team, and sales team. You need to have all these teams in your company. But GeeksforGeeks was in it, and for a long, long time, we were all techies running the show. So this was one mistake. When the non-tech people joined us, we saw a sudden growth in the company. So this is how I started my journey. And fortunately, I was a teacher, so hiring people was not a challenge because when you start a startup which is not funded, you can't pay very high. Hiring becomes really a challenge. Since they were my students, they were so attached and they did wonderful job. And many of my students who joined at that time, they are still there. They're still the leading positions in the company. They are, most of them are my students. The person who is the CTO of my company, that guy is also my student. The person who is handling all the business side, that person is also my student currently. They are joined from that time. So that was something fortunate for me. I could easily hire people. And after in building the initial team, there are many challenges that you face. And one particular incident I remember, when I was writing this GeeksforGeeks blog as a part-time thing, I got an email from someone who was working in Google, and there was a mistake in that article that I wrote. And this guy sent me an email saying that what on earth you can believe that you can write something like this? This is totally wrong. And there was this kind of language. So when I saw that email, my reaction was, now people from Google are reading it, right? So I should be more careful. From that moment, I became super. I replied to him with a thank you email and became super careful while publishing the content. And now, what we do as a company, as GeeksforGeeks, we are mainly doing two businesses. One thing is the content business. We publish a lot of content, and this content is written by engineering students like you. They write the articles. We pay them for every article which is published on GeeksforGeeks. We give them a work from home internship certificate. And how do we make money? This content is consumed by people across the world. And you would not believe, guys, the content that engineering students have been writing, it's being consumed by even the top university people like MIT, Berkeley. We get traffic from all these top universities and all the top companies as well. So Indian students writing the content, people across the world consuming the content. That's how we are making money, because the US people, the Europe people, they have high paying power. So we get good revenue from that. And this business has been profitable from day one. We never took any investment, although we did multiple talks with many investors, but did not go with any investment. Since we have been profitable, so we never felt a strong need of this also. The other business that we do is the courses business, which we recently started. So when we were doing the content business, we were building the content. I did not even know कि engineering के students courses paid courses भी लेते हैं. Never felt like कि students को paid courses लेने भी चाहिए. Even if you ask me today, I would say कि self learning is the best way. But what was happening? There were many companies which were just selling very high cost courses, and I kind of saw कि engineering students को courses की need है. They need now some organized content. So that is why we started courses. And again, the idea was to help the engineering students and provide these courses at a very low cost, lowest possible cost. So this is how the courses business started, and we have been very successful in both the businesses. Now the company's strength is around 250 people, and really enjoyed the overall journey. The things that I've learned is one thing is perseverance. If you feel like you are doing something, people are consuming it, and you are following a passion also. Like I always enjoyed teaching, so through GeeksforGeeks I could teach more and more people. If you compare with the engineering faculty job, वहाँ पर क्या होता है? There are many engineering students जिनको parents ने push करके बोला होता है कि जाओ, या फिर मेरी तरह काफी लोग पहुंच जाते हैं कि since everybody is preparing for IIT, I will also prepare for IIT, and then everybody is going for computer science, I'll also go for computer science. So then they've kind of feel कि यार मजा नहीं आ रहा. So there are many students, but when you're running a portal like GeeksforGeeks, the people who come there, they are all people who are searching for such a content. So that was the best part. The journey has been great. So perseverance is the key. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, make sure that your product is innovative enough that people are actually consuming it, and don't leave it, keep doing it. Hard times do come. I gave you an example of Google. There are multiple examples. One day, DNS of GeeksforGeeks was hacked. People were writing about GeeksforGeeks, this has gone bankrupt. Because there are no revenues. This is a time when I was doing it as a part-time activity, and there were no ads on the website. Somebody hacked our DNS, and I was paying 5,000 rupees server charges from my teaching salary during that time. And I did not know how to manage the servers because I was using managed services. So I had to spend 2 days continuously to understand everything and make the site up again. So hard times do come. Don't give up. It happens with everybody. And now the company size has grown, so there are different types of challenges that I face. Like somebody who is very senior, managing 25, 30 people. That person suddenly leaves, right? So I'll have to manage suddenly. There is already too much load on me, and then I'll have to manage that person's team as well. And when you grow as an entrepreneur, there are certain things after a certain time. Like if you talk about my case, I always wanted to be a teacher, and since till the last year, till 2021 April or May, I was teaching only with the other activities that I was doing. But once your company size grows, you need to do many other things which are required for the company, and that you automatically start doing because the companies you kind of feel motivated. So unfortunately, I had to leave teaching, and now I'm not teaching anymore. I am completely into management, and I just wanted to teach more and more. Did not want to leave it, but somehow I had to leave it because of the company. There are many other things that that I did just for the company. Like public speaking was something which I never wanted to do. No, but learned this also with time. Improved myself. There are many. So this is how the journey has been overall. And talking about coding, since I mentioned, I think I've spent enough time on the entrepreneurship. I'll now talk about coding. So, guys, coding is something which I enjoy a lot, and particularly when you are talking to a computer, there are no emotions, right? And when you are talking to a person, there are emotions involved. So I can spend day and night talking to a computer, writing code, and all the time I am wrong, right? There's nothing ki computer ki side se kuch galat error aa raha hai. So that is something I totally enjoy, and I strongly feel like this is a profession where you don't have to have a lot of experience to be a top class. Like if you talk about doctors, lawyers, they need to have a lot of experience, then only they can become top class doctor, top class lawyer. But in case of coding, a 12th class student can lead the leaderboard, right? And there are two types of coders particularly. One coders, people who are kind of gamers, the people who enjoy competitive programming a lot, those who like to reach the top of the leaderboard quickly, solve the questions very easily. And there are other kind of coders who are like more of artist coder. So I am more of an artist coder. And when I joined DHU, I learned the art of coding. How do you break the code into multiple small functions? How do you write the commands so that it becomes easily readable for the others? How do you properly use libraries? So that is something I enjoyed a lot. How do you optimize the time complexity? How do you reduce the number of variables? So I'm not a gamer type of a coder. I am more of a artist type of a coder. I enjoy the art of coding. So again, when you are talking about coding, you need to decide what kind of coder you want to become. If you are more of an artist type of coder, maybe go for open source development or software development side. And if you are a gamer type of coder, maybe go for competitive programmer. In general, we should be having both. We should, because these days most of the companies, they do hire through an online round. So you need to have some competitive programming skills as well. You should be able to crack some questions up to certain level. And since they are first year, second year students, I would like to add here there this thing also. When you talk about placements or company interview preparation, they mostly do not go beyond certain level. They only ask up to certain level, और वो लेवल पे पहुंचना बहुत इजी होता है. आप फर्स्ट ईयर सेकंड ईयर में ही बहुत ज्यादा प्रैक्टिस करके उस लेवल तक जा सकते हो. So I would suggest to every engineering student here that if you just want to be an employable person, just want to get a job, make sure that you reach that level where you know basic data structures, basic algorithms. You just need to know all the data structures, standard data structures like array, linked list, tree, BST, stack, queue, and don't go for very hi-fi data structures like segment tree. And when you talk about algorithms, just learn basic algorithm searching, sorting, dynamic programming, greedy, and all those standard algorithms. Most of the companies, they ask questions around these topics only. And once you reach a level कि इनकी जो कॉन्टेस्ट होते हैं जिसमें बेसिक डेटा स्ट्रक्चर से एल्गोरिथम पूछा जाता है, वहां पर अगर आप लीडर बोर्ड पे जा पा रहे हो या अपने कॉलेज में लीडर बोर्ड पे जा पा रहे हो, यू आर एम्प्लॉयबल बिकॉज एवरी कंपनी इज गोइंग टू आस्क दीज थिंग्स ओनली, right? So make sure you are employable in your curriculum, and this is the best time, guys. मैंने सॉफ्टवेयर जॉब्स का और कोडिंग का इतना बड़ा बूम कभी नहीं देखा. इतनी ज्यादा हायरिंग हो रही है कोविड के बाद, और सॉफ्टवेयर इतने स्टार्टअप्स खुल रहे हैं. आई मीन हमारी कंपनी में लोग ऐसे छोड़ के जा रहे हैं. किसी का गूगल में जॉब लग रहा है, किसी का फ्लिपकार्ट में लग रहा है, किसी का स्विगी में लग रहा है. I have never seen such a boom time in the software industry. There are many startups which are paying less to their employees. उनके पूरे टीम खाली हो गए. because even the top companies, they are hiring a lot of employees. So this is the best time to learn. Most of us, when we come from a middle class background in the Indian families, our first priority most of the time is to get a job, right? If your priority is to get a job, make sure that you reach that level where you know the standard data structures, standard algorithms really well. Then you are employable, right? Once you're employable, you can enjoy the engineering as well, right? And try to make sure that you become employable in the first year itself. Don't wait कि टीचर जब algorithms third semester में पढ़ाएगा, fourth semester में पढ़ाएगा तब पढ़ लेंगे. If you really want to enjoy your engineering in second year, third year, final years, and want to explore like what you really want to do, maybe you want to start a startup, maybe you want to become a designer or whatever you want to become, just make sure कि आप employable बन जाओ एक level पे आके. First year में बन जाओ तो बहुत अच्छा है. So this is all from my side. I am open for questions now.
Thank you so much, sir. Your insight into entrepreneurship and again coding, they really are. They opened our eyes into a new arena. And with this, we have a lot of questions. Uh, the first one being, Geeks for Geeks works in the area of interview preparation, as you mentioned, which is a constantly changing process, as new and new companies require new and new skills. So, how does Geeks for Geeks manage to keep up with the content that is changing continuously?
So GeeksforGeeks has two ways to produce the content and improve the content. There is an improvement thing where students keep on improving, and there is public crowdsourced content. So when you have the crowdsourced content, it automatically goes with the trend, because these are the engineering students. If something new has come up, they will come on GeeksforGeeks, they will write about it. So that's the way we manage it. And every article which goes public on GeeksforGeeks goes through a manual process. We have external reviewers. We have kind of a platform where through crowdsourcing we get the content, and there are people who are not part of the company, they review the content. And once you become a contributor, after if you've written the quality content, you become an external reviewer as well. So that is how we have maintained the quality. क्योंकि इंजीनियरिंग के बच्चे लिख रहे हैं तो वही लोग, उनको पता है ट्रेंडिंग क्या चल रहा है, और वो लोग इम्प्रूवमेंट भी करते रहते हैं. अगर देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन जिसका इम्प्रूव्ड सॉल्यूशन लोग पॉपुलर हो रहा है, इंटरव्यू में पूछा जा रहा है, दे कम एंड राइट एन इम्प्रूवमेंट, and we pay those students for every improvement that is published, and every article that is published.
Right. And next up, you also mentioned that you've seen a sudden surge in IT companies, software companies. So right now, the Indian IT sector is at a boom. It is at an all-time boost, right? So what do you think should the steps be taken to kind of shift it towards a more product type environment?
Most of the product companies, they ask DSA only. As I said, just make sure you are very, very good at data structures and algorithms, or not very high-fi data structures, segmentary, and just the standard data structures and algorithms. And after that, it's all up to you. और बहुत सारा luck भी matter करता है. I can tell you, like there was a company called Yahoo. I gave my Yahoo interview. वो हमारे on campus आए थे. So I qualified the first round. I was rejected by Yahoo. And when I went to interview, this guy just asked me a puzzle, right? And puzzles are like, if you have heard of it, you can crack it. Even if the person is giving you hints, you may not crack it, right? So this guy just rejected me because I could not solve the puzzle. So I mean, there are many other factors. Person to interview depend करता है, but generally जो बड़े company होते हैं वो थोड़ा standardize करके रखते हैं अपने process को. कि there are standard processes, but again काफी कुछ luck पे भी depend करता है. जो चीज आप अपनी side से ensure कर सकते हो वो है कि आप बहुत अच्छा DSA कर लो अपना. Make sure your DSA is super good. Then your chances become higher, because every company, especially startups, they all are fighting for good coders. Coders नहीं है इतनी ज़्यादा jobs हैं market में.
Right. And next up we have, it is often perceived, and you yourself mentioned it, that there is a gap between academic offers and what the industry needs. So how do you think can we, bridge that gap?
So this gap is mainly one thing I would say is outdated syllabus, right? I mean, I don't know, most of the engineering colleges, they still teach C programming language in the first semester. I mean, there are very few companies who use C, and C++ is kind of superset. There are not libraries for data structures and algorithms in C. So I don't understand why are we teaching C to the engineering students. So this is one reason. And another reason is a lack of quality teachers. The most of the private engineering colleges, they work like more of like a business. If I talk about my tier 3 engineering college journey, there were teachers who did not know themselves how to write the basic code. They were teaching us coding in algorithms. That's the scenario most of the times, and that's why companies like GeeksforGeeks became successful, right? Because there was a lack of quality teaching. I guess the engineering colleges, especially the private engineering colleges, they should spend more on their faculty. I mean, these are probably the reasons we have this gap.
And next up, Geeks for Geeks is more of an application oriented platform. Do you plan on extending it towards research somehow?
See, it's very easy to say research, but if you are in India, like we always would love to do innovations. We keep on trying different things, but if you understand the Indian economy, Indian market, it's if you compare it with US, most of us do compare with US. The amount of money that those companies have, or the level, the scale at which they work, it's very different from what we have here. Is what the kind of revenues we have in India, the kind of business we do in India. It's very less compared to what they do. So it's very difficult to even run a profitable company. I mean, if you look at most of the companies in India, most of them are heavily invested in running in losses. I mean, I don't know any company which is running in there are very few companies which are running profitable. So that is why these things become slightly difficult to do in India. I mean, I'm not saying impossible. Although we keep on trying innovative, not by doing research lab की चलो research करते हैं कि coding में और क्या better कर सकते हैं, but we do research on the user behavior, the expectations on the of the engineering students, what they're expecting from us, and what innovative we can do to help in terms of UI, in terms of backend. So if you call it research, that's what we do as a company, not the proper research. It's not possible. First thing is to make sure that you are profitable, and I mean, I can tell you guys, it's super difficult to run a company at this scale. Super difficult. बहुत सारे problems होते हैं. Like there are competitors. Cost बहुत सारे competitors को कई सारा funding मिल जाता है. और उसके साथ गवर्नमेंट के टैक्सेस इतने ज्यादा होते हैं इंडिया में. I mean, there are all kind of different taxation rules that you'll have to follow, so it's super difficult. That's why it becomes slightly difficult to focus more on research. Most of the time we are just making sure that we are profitable and we are growing at a certain speed.
Right, sir. And again, like online platforms like Geeks for Geeks are growing exponentially, not only in India, but globally. What do you think is the future of institutional learning in India?
So I guess you are talking about engineering college education, right?
Yes, sir.
So I don't think anything can replace the offline classes. During COVID, although it happened that people went online, but again, if you see the trend, people are going back to offline. And as a teacher, I strongly feel when you're teaching offline, the eye contact matters a lot when you're teaching. Your physical presence matters a lot. I mean, as a teacher, I always felt if I look at the faces of my students, I know whether they have got it or not by just looking at the faces. So I understand by looking at their faces, do I need to repeat this? Or do I, if they're not getting even after repeating this, maybe I have to change the topic, maybe teach it tomorrow with more research. So nothing can replace this. That's my understanding. It's just that maybe the engineering colleges, they'll understand with time, they'll improve on quality. And this is how I'm seeing it. The engineering colleges are these days doing more tie-ups with the companies like Geeks4Geeks to improve their education. They are looking for the courses that we do. They do tie-ups with us. We do teach their engineering students. Sometimes they do faculty development programs with the companies. So that's where the industry is going. That's how I see it.
Right. And there's again a sudden surge of entrepreneurship in India, especially. So, what do you think is the future for entrepreneurship and the IT sector simultaneously?
It's great, actually. It's definitely great. It's looking awesome. I would say, if you have an idea, if you are passionate about it, and your idea is going to help people, don't delay it. Start today. Don't wait for it. The kind of learning, when you do something, you fail, you retry. You never get this kind of learning from any job or any other experience.
Right. And as you mentioned that competitive programming, and you mentioned the other kind of programming as somehow artistic programming. So, how do you think a student should create a balance between, say, open source and learning CP or DSA simultaneously during their 4 years of BTech or maybe 5 years of IDD?
So, see, if you're engineering, as I said, just make sure that you reach the level where you can crack the DSA questions. Now you have access to GeeksforGeeks, where you have interview experiences of the top product-based companies. Try solving them with the limited time that these companies typically give to you, like 1 hour, 1.5 hour. So you have access to those questions. Try solving them without any help. Right? Once you reach a level where you're able to crack these questions. For example, on GeeksforGeeks, we do an interview series, weekly interview series, a contest on Sunday, where students can participate, and in these interview series we give the interview questions of the product based companies, which is kind of mock. So try participating in such contests, try solving the questions from the interview experiences, and see if you can solve within an hour, then you're good to crack these companies. Once you reach that level, then you do what you enjoy. If you are enjoying the CP more, then continue with CP. If you are enjoying artistic type of programming, continue with that.
And you mentioned the importance of CP, right? Competitive programming. Does Geeks for Geeks plan on extending, say, a certain course that can help the students more in venturing into competitive programming or practicing it?
We already have a live course where students can come and learn competitive programming. This course starts every 2 weeks. And there, in that course, mostly the students who are grandmasters or who have cracked the companies of the top product, interviews of the top product companies, they teach in that course.
And what do you see in the future of Geeks for Geeks? Like, how do you plan and expand this platform to reach it to more and more people?
So, if you ask me as a teacher, I mean, I have seen worst quality of teaching. Sorry, if you ask me as a teacher or as a student, I've seen worst quality of teaching in that municipal school than in that engineering college. Just wanted to make quality education accessible to everyone through and to be free or at the lowest possible cost. That's the vision. We have already cracked it up to certain level for computer science, coding, and engineering students. Right now, we are planning to extend it to other branches in schools. We have already built a machine to make sure that quality content is being produced at the end, right? Through multiple phases. Students write it, then there are reviewers, then there's a final review, then it's published. So this machine is running on autopilot mode, right? Now we just want to use this machine for other domains. So that's the plan as of now, and also looking for a very low cost quality courses in every domain, not only programming.
And with the hype around programming and the surge of IT companies, as you mentioned, there are kind of less students going towards their core branches. What do you think about it? What are your views on that?
So guys, आप कोर ब्रांचेस की बात करें या खराब कॉलेजेस की बात करें, जो जिस जैसे कॉलेज से मैंने किया था 2004 में, जब मैंने इंजीनियरिंग किया तो टाइम बहुत खराब था कोर ब्रांचेस के लोगों के लिए भी। वो कंपनीज का एक क्राइटेरिया होता था कि you can't participate in Amazon, these top based companies, they were not allowing these guys. But with time, things have changed and they're improving more and more. Now, the tier 3 colleges, the core branch students, they all are cracking Amazon, Google, or Google ने तो वो degree का requirement भी खत्म कर दिया है. So, if you really want to get into a SD job and want to crack the product-based company interview, the branch does not matter anymore. You can just learn coding and make sure that you reach that level where you have DSA, that level I talked about. you're good to go, right? The branch does not matter.
And you mentioned a lot about competitive programming, the importance of it in the present scenario. Can you name us a few points, as to solid points, as to how competitive programming can help people in the industry?
So competitive programming, guys, if you are a competitive programmer and your handles are good, you are definitely going to get a job. Any company would hire you, right? For example, if you are a grandmaster or expert, or maybe I don't know the nomenclature really well, maybe whatever comes after expert, or a 6-star coder on CodeChef, you would definitely get a job. There is no doubt about it. So you become employable. And with this, many times what happens with competitive programmers, they write code not in a proper manner. कुछ macro लिख दिया, यहाँ से code copy कर लिया, वहाँ से कर लिया, कुछ short code लिख लिया. You just need to improve that part, right? And since you are being able to reuse the code, and that's what software industry demands, that you can reuse the code, you can use the libraries. So most of the time, the people who are good competitive programmers, they are generally good software developers, and companies have kind of realized it, right? Uh, it's just they can quickly solve the problems. It's just the quality of the code that you need to work upon, and you can become a great software developer.
And how does one work towards improving their quality of code? As you said that you learned about adding comments to code and to make it more readable. How does one go about learning about that during their college time to become more employable, in your words?
So look at the codes which are written on by the on the open source communities on GitHub, how people are writing it. When I joined DShaw, there was a documentation where they clearly mentioned that this is how you need to write comments, this is how you need to write functions, this is how the naming of the function should be, this is how the naming of the variables should be. And when we used to commit code during that time, our code was not going immediately into production. There was a reviewer who was reviewing the code initially, and this reviewer used to give us feedback that you need to improve this code. And after review, the code was going in. So maybe the same thing is followed in the open source community. You can try joining them and try looking at the code which are written by the top open source contributors.
Question around the question that I asked about going into core companies. People now somehow hesitate going towards maybe higher education, pursuing more than BTech. What are your views on that?
See, higher education, if you can study 2 years more, and if you have money to spend, there's nothing bad about it. I would say, I mean, I can tell you my example. One option was I would have continued teaching in that engineering college where I taught after BTech, my tier 3 degree, right? And could have settled my life kind of around that. And when I went to IIT Roorkee, my life completely changed. And same thing applies when you are in India, maybe in IIT or in a good engineering college, and then you go to US or European university for masters. Uh, your profile, your understanding of things completely changes. So, but the problem is there are constraints about finance. There are constraints about whether you want to spend 2 more years in education or academics. So, if you're good with that, I think there is nothing wrong in going for in higher education.
And people face a lot of pressure while preparing for internships and placements. So what are your words for those people?
So, when you say threshold, you mean people kind of leave in the middle, or
They face a sort of like there's a lot of pressure around during the internship season or during the placement season on the students. So would you like to give us some tips as to how to manage the pressure and how to focus more on learning and less on just going on the jumping on the bandwagon that everyone is following?
guys, that pressure is always there. I remember जब हम लोग IIT रुड़की में थे और हमारे मोस्टली लोगों का प्लेसमेंट हो गया था. उसके बाद कुछ ब्रेक आ गया था शायद न्यू ईयर का और क्रिसमस का. 10-12 डेज की छुट्टी हो गई थी, प्लेसमेंट बीच में रुक गए थे और मोस्टली कंपनी उससे पहले आ गई थी. तो जिन लोगों का प्लेसमेंट नहीं हुआ और बीच में 12-13 दिन की छुट्टी आ गई, they were like under a lot of pressure कि अब तो बहुत कम कंपनी बचे हैं, and I remember how these guys spent their 12-13 days of that vacation. And वो pressure रहता है, उसका कुछ नहीं कर सकते. But again, you can spend more time applying off campuses because उस time पे इतने off campus job नहीं होते थे. अभी तो बहुत सारे जॉबेथॉन और हैकेथॉन और बहुत सारे ऐसे इंस्टीट्यूट्स होते रहते हैं, चैलेंजेस होते रहते हैं, हायरिंग चैलेंजेस. तो आप उनमें पार्टिसिपेट करते रहो एक्टिवली. डोंट कंप्लीटली रिलाई ऑन कैंपस जॉब्स. And this phase comes in everybody's life. It's all about managing it and focusing on learning, learning from the mistakes that you made in your rounds where you did not qualify, and maybe talking to your seniors who are placed in the companies, doing more research, reaching more people on LinkedIn, reaching more HRs on LinkedIn, showing your genuine interest in the companies, and then trying to get into those companies. All these things you can try, but that is always there, and that can only be solved by being more active, not leaving it, being more active, trying different ways to come out of the problem.
Next, we would love to know the story behind the name Geeks for Geeks. It's welcoming, it's catchy, it's everything. And how did you come up with this?
So when I was in IIT Roorkee, there was a social media platform called Orkut. Right? Orkut is nobody knows about Orkut now. It was a Google social media platform. So उस time पे there was a friend of mine who was in IIT Kharagpur, and this guy had his user handle as Geek for You. And when I looked at that user handle, it just clicked to me that Geek for You was so good, and I got an idea from there for the website that I should name it as Geeks for Geeks.
And again, as I said, that because there is a sudden surge of entrepreneurship and IT sector, maybe simultaneously in Indian context, especially. So, what tips would you give to students to differentiate maybe their career path, whether they want to go towards entrepreneurship, whether they want to go towards IT companies or more product type company? When should one start deciding that as a student?
So, अगर आप एक ऐसे पर्सन हो जो चीजें छोड़ देते हो बीच बीच में करके, आप परस्यू नहीं कर पाते ज्यादा, then maybe go for a job. And if you're a person जिसने लाइफ में पास में कुछ चीजें स्टार्ट करी हैं और छोड़ी नहीं है, तो I would suggest कि you are a good fit for entrepreneurship. And if you're a problem solver particularly, you care about the society, also care about solving the problems of the others around you. So entrepreneurship, I would definitely suggest we all must try at least once. If you can't do it full time, try it for part time, maybe through a blog, maybe through a YouTube channel, or maybe whatever. And there are एक मैंने इंडिया में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम देखा है कि इंडिया के जो स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं, स्पेशली जो आईआईटी वाले स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं, दे मोस्टली फॉलो व्हाट यूएस स्टूडेंट्स आर डूइंग, व्हाट यूके स्टूडेंट्स आर डूइंग. Guys, I strongly believe that we should not be following them blindly. All the research part is good, but the problems they are solving are different from the problems that we have in India. Like Geeks is an example. In US, UK, nobody cares about the placement because job का इतना problem नहीं है. But in India, it's a big problem. So look at the problems around you if you're going for entrepreneurship, and don't look at US, UK people. Try to solve the local problems with your skills. That's what I always say in every talk that I give in IITs. Right? Don't look at US, UK people कि वो लोग क्या कर रहे हैं. There are lots of problems in our country, and most of us know, right? We all kind of come from a background, small towns, and we know the kind of lives that people are living and how tech can solve those problems. So try to solve those problems with your skills. If you can't do it full time, you have financial constraints, try doing it part time. Right? Try doing it part time. Try doing it after a job. So if you're doing a job, you have fixed hours, you have 2 days free, or try spending those 2 days in something creative, something in entrepreneurship. So I would say entrepreneurship तो सबको करना चाहिए, जॉब के साथ करो या फुल टाइम करो, एक बार करके जरूर देखना चाहिए. और अच्छे जो लोग entrepreneurship करके फेल भी हो जाते हैं, वो बहुत अच्छे एम्प्लॉय होते हैं एक्चुअली एज ए कंपनीज भी उनको हायरिंग में प्रेफरेंस देते हैं because they know how business completely runs. They understand every team कि sales team क्या कर रही है, उनका mentality क्या है, marketing team का mentality क्या है, HR का. They are not limited to coding or software job.
And since the content on Geeks for Geeks is top notch, it's almost the best in its way, right? So, who all computer science authors are your inspiration? Who inspired you to write those nerdy or geeky content in such an engaging way?
So I like जब मैं IIT रुड़की में था at that time there were these Stanford PDF files which everybody was following, and there were some MIT video lectures of the people who have written the Fundamentals of Algorithm book, the Coreman book. This book is so amazingly written. I was like too much impressed by those authors, and too much impressed by the quality of the content which is there on MIT video lectures. And particularly, there is an IIT professor also, Dr. Naveen Garg from IIT Delhi. He's a fantastic teacher. When I used to teach DS in engineering college, I used to listen to his video lectures as well. So these are some people who inspired me to do better and better in engineering. It is just that इनके जो lectures होते थे MIT वाले वो Indian students थोड़ा उनको मुश्किल लगते हैं. So the idea was of GeeksforGeeks was to simplify those things, keeping the quality and standard same. That's how I used to write the content. I used to listen to MIT video lectures, used to listen to Dr. Naveen Garg video lectures, and then used to refer some more foreign websites, and then used to write the articles.
Any memorable story you'd like to share from your days in college and your teaching days as well?
So I don't have any particular story, but one day I remember when I was placed in DE shop. That was like, I mean, the day I was somebody who was struggling even 5,000 rupees job. मेरे को इतने सारे rejections मिले हैं. मुझे याद है I went to a local coaching center. वो लोग ना स्कूल के बच्चों को कोडिंग पढ़ाते थे. And I was rejected by them. They rejected me as a teacher. And most of the time since I wanted to become teacher, I used to apply for teaching job. डी शो वाला केवल इसलिए हो गया क्योंकि सैलरी बहुत ज्यादा थी और वो सॉफ्टवेयर कंपनी थी और एवरीबॉडी वांटेड टू गो फॉर सॉफ्टवेयर. इंडिया में थोड़ा हैवी है सर कि सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपर्स एंड टीचर इन ए प्राइवेट इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज दे आर लुक्ड एट इन अ डिफरेंट वे. तो बहुत सारे मैंने बीपीओ के जॉब में भी अप्लाई करा था. वहां पर भी मैं 5,000 10,000 रुपीज के जॉब में रिजेक्ट हो गया था बिकॉज I come from UP board, right, and from Firozabad. So when they just asked for introduction, after introduction they simply rejected me, right, the BPO jobs. So when I was in IIT Roorkee and when I was placed in D Shaw, that was the day, right? I still remember. I called up my parents, celebrated that day really well. So that day I remember a lot. And when you talk about GeeksforGeeks, I enjoy every day. I see the traffic going up. Look at the stats. Look at Google Analytics daily. And when I talk to people in the company, when I talk to people outside the company, though I enjoy almost every day in the journey, and I've enjoyed like all the 5-6 years the day I've been doing it full time.
So after the pandemic, things are kind of becoming normal. Students are now returning to their campus. We are going to campus, like after so many of us are going after 2 years. Many of us are going to campus for the first time. What are your advice on how to make the most of the college life that is remaining with us?
Guys, you've missed a lot. I would say college life, the seniors, particularly, I would say talk to your seniors, talk to the people who had been in campus 2-3 years to your senior, right, and understand like how they used their campus life. And it's very unfortunate that you spend 2 years outside college, but again, fortunately things are back to normal. So I would say talk to your seniors and understand how they got jobs and how they lived their campus, how they enjoyed, and what are all facilities available in your college, right? So whatever days you're left, I would say completely enjoy, guys. The remaining days, you already missed a good time.
Talking about enjoyment, we also have a lot to catch up with, a lot to study as well. So, any tips on how to create a balance between learning, preparing for internships, placements, and enjoying in college as well, with the time remaining in our hand?
तो अगर एकेडमिक्स की बात करें तो एकेडमिक्स में जनरली इफ यू आर लुकिंग फ्रॉम अ जॉब पर्सपेक्टिव तो मोस्टली कंपनी 7 CGPA से ज्यादा कट ऑफ नहीं रखते हैं. तो मेक श्योर दैट यू मेंटेन दैट CGPA एटलीस्ट 7 CGPA, राइट? बियॉन्ड दैट एवरीथिंग इज गुड. And make sure that you reach that level that you know those standard data structures algorithms really well. and then do whatever you wish to do, whatever you enjoy, right? Once you reach that level कि मेरे से वो Amazon के 2 round of questions 1 घंटे में हो जा रहे बिना किसी help के, and if you're participating in the weekly contest and you're getting solve those questions, then do whatever you enjoy. You explore different things. Many people develop interest in graphics designing, many people develop interest in marketing, sales, right? So try exploring different fields and maintain these 2 things with the other stuff.
That is all from our side. We can't thank you enough for taking out time for this, for giving us insights, answering all our questions in such an elegant way. I'm sure we all have our takeaways that we'll remember throughout our lifetime. It was an honor having you, sir.
Thank
And
you.
sir,
Thanks everybody.
yes, sir. And there'll be a short 10 minutes interview conducted by the Outreach Club that comes under the Film and Media Council, IIT BHU. So would you be available for it, sir?
Sure,
Like
sure, I'll
right
be
up,
available.
right, sir.
Right.
So I'll revert this back to my team. Thank you
Yeah,
so
sure.
much, sir.
I'll just take a 1 minute break and I'll be back in a minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, sure.